New DevOps project to practice and learn Terraform with AWS. In this project video, we are going to create S3 bucket and set up static website hosting to showcase our portfolio, projects, resumes on AWS using Terraform in just 3 seconds. Let's go. Alright, so I'm here on my computer screen, and in this video, we are going to do a project of creating a S3 bucket on AWS and setting up static website using Terraform in just 3 seconds. Before we start with the project, there are a few prerequisites that you need to have. First is the AWS account. You need to have an AWS account if you want to create S3 buckets on it. So I already have mine. If you don't have it, do create it. And I'm going to paste the link of the video where I show you how to create a free AWS account. Second is to have Terraform installed. If you don't have it installed, you can install it from the official documentation. And to confirm, you can just run Terraform -- version. If you have this output, which means Terraform is installed for you. I have Terraform installed and I can see the output as well. Third thing or third prerequisite is to watch my previous Terraform videos, which you will find here in the playlist, which covers all the basic concepts of what is HCL syntax, what is providers, what is variables and outputs, and how to connect AWS with Terraform. Because we are going to implement all the knowledge that we have learned in this previous videos as a project and help you understand all the concepts properly. So do watch the video because we are going to use variables, outputs, providers, and everything, all of that in this project. So let's start with the project, but let me tell you the steps that we are going to follow. First, we need to create an S3 bucket. So we'll be using Terraform to create S3 bucket. Second, we need to enable the setting that we require to set up static website on that S3. So we'll also be doing this through Terraform, nothing manual, everything will be automated. We also need to upload website files like index.html, error.html, also a few images if you want to insert some images. For example, if you see here, I have an image of me here. So we also need to upload this image on S3 bucket and this HTML website also on the S3 bucket. So we'll be doing that through Terraform. Next, we need to enable public access. If you want to set up static website on S3, you need to make the bucket public. So we are going to do that configuration even through Terraform. So I'll show you that as well. And this is optional. If you have a domain name, let's say mywebsite.com, you can connect your S3 website with your domain name. If you don't have it and you don't want to spend money buying a domain, you can still complete this project using S3 endpoint like this. Next, after you have your website ready, you can just test it by pasting the website endpoint and seeing if your website is accessible or not. So once you have these prerequisites and the steps cleared, let's start with creating our project. So first thing I'm going to do is to create a folder. So this is my terminal. I'm going to create a folder and let's name it my S3 static website, or you can name it anything. It's up to you. I created this folder and I'm going to go inside this folder and open this in VS Code. So here is my VS Code. Let's start with creating our static website on Terraform. So if you remember in the providers video, we have defined whenever we want to work with AWS on Terraform, we need to first create a provider. And I'm going to do that in a file named as providers.tf. So this file will contain my provider detail. And right now we're using Terraform with AWS. So we need to say AWS is our provider. So I'm going to say AWS Terraform and provider. We will go to the official documentation. Throughout the video, we will be using documentation to help you understand the concept properly and even to find solutions if you are stuck. We are also going to be using Chatgpt in this project. So make sure you watch this video and see how you can use Chatgpt in your day-to-day stuff. So here we have a provider. We can choose to use this provider by clicking on this button and copying the configuration here. There are two blocks here, Terraform block and the provider block. Terraform block can be used whenever you want to use a specific version of this provider. So right now it is 5.1.10.0, which is the latest one. If you want to use any particular one, you can also use that. Let's go with the latest one and I'm going to paste the block as it is. In this Terraform block, we can also put the backend configuration where we can store our state file in S3 buckets, which is very important. And I'm going to explain you that in the next upcoming videos of what is state file and how to manage state, what is backend and all those stuff. For now, I'm going to define this provider and the region is going to be US-East-1. So this is my region and I have defined my provider. Let's go and run the first command, which is Terraform init command. This command is to initialize the Terraform and to download all the required dependencies or required files for this provider to work and to give API access. So once this is done, it should give us a message that provider has been successfully initialized. You can now start working with Terraform. So this is an important step Once this is done, we can start with writing our code to create S3 buckets, to set up static website, to upload website files, and lot more. So now you can see it says Terraform has been successfully initialized. There are a few files here which we don't need to worry about. And let's start with writing our code. I can choose to write the code in this file itself, but I'm going to create another file and name it main.tf. All right. In this, first step is to create S3 bucket, right? So let's create a bucket. To create a bucket, you can also again use the official documentation. So you can say Terraform S3 resource. Once I do this, I am going to click on this link which says S3 bucket, and you can find the complete documentation. This is saying that the version is up 3.36. If you want to go to the latest one, I'm going to click on go to latest version here and search for S3 in this menu. So you can find S3 in the S section, which is here. So S3 Glacier, S3 Simple Storage. This is what you want to use, and I want to create a bucket. So I can use this documentation to create a bucket, and I can copy this thing here. But remember, whenever you create a bucket, it has to be unique. The name of the bucket should be globally unique. You cannot use the same name for a bucket, and we are going to define the name of the bucket in the form of variables. So let me make this smaller. And we have the resource here. Resource is AWS S3 bucket. The name of the bucket, let's change this to bucket or my bucket here. And in this, we have a name, but we are going to define this name in the form of variable. I also don't want this tags because they are optional. So in this, I'm going to again create a new file for variables. I don't want to put the variables in this main.tf. So I'll be creating a file, name it variables.tf. All right. Inside this, I need to create a variable, and the name of the variable is going to be bucket name. So bucket name, and the value is going to be default equals to, let's choose a very unique name. So I'm going to say my Terraform project website 2023. Hopefully this name should not be taken by anyone, so it should not give us any error. And I'm going to use this variable inside the main.tf by saying var.bucketName. Let's save this, and our code is ready. Let's go and run the Terraform plan command to see what is going to happen. According to this configuration, we should be having a bucket created. And let me show you my AWS right now. There are no buckets, just to be sure. So if I go inside buckets here, let's go to buckets. And you can see there are no buckets right now at this moment. Once I run the Terraform plan and apply command, I should be having a bucket created here. So when I run Terraform plan, it should show me that one bucket should be created. Let's see, what does it say? So, all right, so here you can see it says one thing to add. We haven't defined anything about the website or anything configuration here. So it's just a simple bucket being created. Let's run the Terraform apply command to see if it actually creates a bucket or not. So I'm going to say Terraform apply -auto -approve. -auto -approve is a flag. If you don't want to be prompted by Terraform, if you run Terraform apply, it will ask you, are you sure? And you need to type yes. If you want to skip that yes thing, you can just run Terraform apply -auto -approve, and it will not ask you to type yes. So once this is done, a bucket should be created in like seconds. So here's my bucket, which is in creating state right now. And you can see bucket has been created in 6 seconds. Let's refresh the page. And you should have a bucket here. So the bucket is present. Now, inside this bucket, we don't have any objects. We are going to upload the objects through Terraform. But next thing we are going to do is to make this bucket public. This bucket is not public right now. So need to make this bucket public, and also enable this setting, which is static website hosting. You can see this is disabled right now. We need to add or make configuration to make this enabled so that we can have our static website hosting on S3. Okay, now that the bucket has been created, we need to define the ownership of the bucket to be as a bucket owner, so that everything in this bucket should be owned by us and no one can change anything. So I need to go to the another resource, which is ownership controls here. And I can simply copy this block of ownership control by changing the bucket name. So I'm going to paste it here and change the reference of this bucket to our bucket, which is AWS_S3 bucket dot my bucket dot ID. All right, this will ensure that everything inside this bucket is owned by the bucket owner itself. And next thing after we do this, we need to also make the bucket public. So for that, I need to use public access block resource. And as you can see here everything is true because the bucket is private, but we need to make it false. So you can see here it says whether Amazon S3 should block public ACLs or not, default to false. So just copy this and make everything false here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, change the bucket reference to my bucket.id, and all the values here will be false. So false, so that we can make the bucket public. So I'll be showing you what happens when we make this change. So false, and this is going to be false as well. Let's save this, run the Terraform apply plan command to see what is going to be happening after we add these two resources. We also need to add ACLs, access control list as well, to make sure that the bucket is completely ready for the website. And you can see we have added two resources, so it says two things to be added. And these are the two things, which are bucket ownership and also public access block. Before we run Terraform apply, let's also add the next resource, which is public, which is ACL here. If you can see, this is the S3 bucket ACL thing that we need to use. Inside this, if you can see here, this is the block we need to use, but here ACL is private. For us to have a website, we need to make it public read, not private. So we're going to copy this thing here, which says public read. So you can see we use the same thing here, and we are now going to copy this part. So public read, and I'm going to paste it below with editing this. All right, so we have a bucket ACL ready, and it depends on these two things which we created right now. We need to specify the bucket name correctly. So I'm going to say my bucket.id, and this is ready. Once we make this, you will be able to see that the bucket is right now private, and bucket and objects are not public. But once I run this, it will be public. So let's go and run Terraform apply -auto -approve command, and let's wait for this to be done so that our bucket is public, so that our bucket is public and ready to be ready to set up S3 static website on it. So if you see here, this is now done. Let's refresh the page to see if a bucket is public right now or not. So you can see it is now public and it's publicly accessible, which means our bucket is now ready to set up S3 static website here. So this is now disabled. Let's enable that as well. And for that, I need to use website configuration resource. So if you go to the official documentation again, you can find website configuration resource here. In this website configuration resource, you can see they're asking you for index.html and error.html. So we need to first put this file inside S3 bucket. Right now in the S3, there are no objects in my bucket. So if you don't have objects, you will not be able to define index.html or error.html. So I need to put this first, and then I can use this in my website configuration. So how would you do it? If you already know HTML, you can simply create a file, name it index.html here, and also another file for error.html. These files are required to be shown on your website. When someone accesses your website, they will be able to see index.html. And if they access your website, which is with a particular path which is not there, they will get an error.html. So how would you do it? If you know HTML, you can simply type hello world and you can try to create a website. But let's try to use Chatgpt because I don't know HTML much. So I'm going to use Chatgpt here. So let's ask Chatgpt to create an index.html for us by giving it some prompt. So let's say, please create index.html for John's portfolio website, and mention projects, also reviews, and add animation, add CSS to show animations and styles. So you can add something like this to get index.html from Chatgpt rather than writing itself, because this is not a DevOps thing. You don't need to write index.html, or you don't need to write code often in DevOps apart from the automation thing. So I'm just going to copy what Chatgpt gave me here, and we will be seeing this project on our S3 static website once we configure it. So I'm going to upload this in the S3 bucket. Let me show you how. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Also, let's ask it to create error.html as well. So please create error.html2. So once I do this, it will start creating error.html. So here's the error.html, and I'm going to paste that here. All right. For this website as well, I used Chatgpt, and it gave me this code. You can also ask Chatgpt with different prompts. It will give you the code, or you can simply edit it if you want to have some configurations. Let's say we also want to have a photo. So what we can do, we can simply get a photo from, or let's use Luffy One Piece as a photo. I'm going to use this picture of Luffy. Shout out to Debian, whoever has created this. I'm going to copy and put this in our project, which is profile.png, and I'm going to put this, the name of the file is profile.png, and I'm going to put this in my S3 static website. Okay, this folder, and save it. Once I do this, you should be able to see the profile.png here as well. Okay, so we have the files ready for our website. Let's go and put them in S3. To put them in S3, I need to add things here. So in there, I need to create a resource. The resource name is S3 object, AWS S3 object. So you can see this is the resource. I'm going to say resource AWS underscore S3 underscore object. And in this, I'm going to first put the index. So I'm going to say index as the name. And we need to define few things like bucket, key, and source. So bucket is which bucket do you want to put this in. So I'm going to say AWS underscore S3.mybucket.id. And the key is going to be the name of the file. So the name of the file is index.html. And I also need to define the source. Source is going to be where is the file. Right now it is in the current folder. So I can just type index.html here. So index.html. I also need to define what is the ACL or access control list, because I need to make this bucket, this thing public. So I'm going to say ACL equals to public underscore read, public hyphen read. And we also need to define the content type. So content type is going to be text/HTML. Okay. This is how you will be uploading. You will be uploading an object in the bucket. I'll copy the same thing for error.html. So this is my error. So let's change the name first. And let's change the name of the key as well. So error here, and the source as error.html, and rest of all is going to be the same. Also, let's add a profile.png. So I'm going to say resource is going to be AWS underscore S3 object again. And this is my profile. We haven't updated the code in index.html to have a picture, but we will do soon once we have our website ready. We can anytime change the index.html. So in here, I'm going to say first key, bucket. Bucket is going to be AWS underscore S3 bucket.mybucket.id. Key is going to be the profile name. So it's going to be profile.png, the same name as you see here, .png. And also the source, which is going to be profile.png. And I also need to define the ACL, which is going to be public read. So I'm going to say ACL, and it is public hyphen read. Okay. So we have 3 objects defined here, and these 3 objects, once I run Terraform apply, it will be inside the bucket. So let's go and test that out. I'm going to run Terraform apply command, and inside this bucket, right now there are no objects, but once we do this, there should be 3 objects, and they should be public as well. So they are now in creating state, and creation has been completed for index and profile and error as well. So let's refresh, and you should see 3 resources inside the bucket, which means we are ready now to configure a website in our Terraform. So let's go to the official documentation again. And in this official documentation, this is the code or resource which we will be using to set up our website. So here we need an index documentation and error document as well. So let's go and create that. I'm going to say resource is going to be AWS underscore S3 underscore website configuration. And let's name this as website. In this, I need to first define the index document bucket. So what is the bucket? First thing is to define a bucket. So this is bucket.id. And you might be, I'm not sure if you have a question or not, why is there no VPC, why are there no subnets? Because I've always mentioned that we create subnets and VPCs before creating any projects, but there is no VPC here because S3 does not deploy inside a VPC, it's outside a VPC. So that is why we don't have it here, but I'm going to soon create another project which will have S3, which will have VPC, EC2, load balancers, S3 and so much more. So no need to worry about that. Let's define the website configuration now. So we have the bucket ready. In this, I'm going to say index document, and the index document has suffix equals to the name of the index, which is index.html here. So index.html. Similarly, I also need to define the error document. So I'm going to say error document. Error document has key equals to, so key equals to error.html. All right. Once I do this, I don't need to have routing policies or anything because my website don't have any routes. So I need to say this depends on, this should create after this thing has been created. So let's save this. And now our bucket should be ready with the website configured on it. So let's try to run that. I'm going to say Terraform apply -auto -approve, and our bucket will be ready. Website will be ready as well. So let's wait to see that. So here we go. Website configuration is in creating state right now, and it has been done in 3 seconds. Let's go and check that. In our properties, I'm going to go to buckets, my Terraform projects, and I'm going to go to properties, and you can see here the bucket has been created. And if I open this link, you see John portfolio is there as well. So this is how you can set up a website. Let's try to edit the index.html and recreate this again. So I'm going to copy this and ask Chatgpt to please add for an image in between which has been uploaded as profile.png in S3 bucket, and add colors and animations to this, please. Okay, let's see what Chatgpt has to give us now, and it should include the profile.png as well, and we should see a photo of Luffy in our portfolio here. So let's wait and see. So you can see it has the image source here. We need to put the bucket URL. So the bucket URL you can find from anything here. So let's go to objects, and you can click on profile.png, and you can find the bucket URL, or you can directly copy and paste this thing in the code. So this is what it gave us. Let's copy this and paste it in our thing. Let's search for image, and I'm going to put my profile.png thing in here. So copy object URI, paste it, save it. Let's destroy everything and recreate and see how much time does it take to create everything from scratch. So I'm going to destroy this. So 8 things are going to be destroyed. So everything is going to be destroyed. And if I refresh the page after once this is destroyed completely, so you can see it says everything has been destroyed. Let's refresh, and there is no bucket now. Once you have the code, main.tf code here, let's also try to add an outputs.tf so that we can get the endpoint right on our terminal, right, rather than going in the console for that. So I'm going to say outputs. So output is going to be the website endpoint. So endpoint, and endpoint, and inside this I'm going to say value is going to be AWS _S3 _ bucket dot my bucket dot website endpoint, and save this. Now let's try to apply it again and see how much time does it take. So I'm going to say apply, and everything should be ready with the website endpoint for me here, and we should have an image as well inside our John portfolio. So here you go, it's in creating state right now. 1 second has been passed, 3 seconds have been passed, and we have the website created in just 3 seconds, as I've told you. We don't have the configuration because it's now deprecated, and I don't find the updated one. If you know, let me know in the comment section. So I'm going to just run the Terraform apply again, or I can just refresh this page, and you should be able to see John portfolio with the Luffy's image here and something here. If you want me to use the code that I have here on this website in the project that we have now, I can copy it. And so let me copy this and paste it here. Also change the URL properly so that I can get the profile.png, which is here from the website. I'm going to save this and run Terraform apply. So rather than seeing the same simple website, I I'm using this index.html, and you will have a website similar to what you can see here. So let's wait for it to come up, and after I paste this endpoint, it should be showing me the website. So let's press enter to this, and you can see it says portfolio of Nasula Chaudhary, and it has the image of Luffy, which means you can use this any index.html and you can input any style you want. I can upload my code, what I used. So I can upload this code in GitHub. If you want, let me know in the comment section and I can post it. Or else you can always use Chatgpt to create your own code, your own style, and paste it in the Terraform code to have your bucket created and configured in just 3 seconds. I hope this video was informative. If you have any questions, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to watch the complete playlist to understand Terraform from scratch. Thank you and have a good day.